Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to talk about something most people think of as just a tech problem, but it's really one of the biggest business challenges out there today. I'm talking about IT security. So we're going to break down the playbook, how you can detect and prevent fraud and abuse in your organization. Let's just dive right in.
Let's be real. The goal here is pretty simple, right? It's all about keeping your company's name out of the news. Those awful headlines about data breaches, big financial losses, all that chaos. You see, when you do IT security right, nobody notices. It's silent. But when you get it wrong, it is loud. Very, very loud. All right, so first things first. Let's talk about what's really at stake here. Because getting this right has never been more important. And believe me, it's about a lot more than just keeping your computer safe.
So IT security really has three main jobs for any business. The first one's the obvious one, protecting your data. And I don't just mean customer lists. I'm talking about your secret sauce, your intellectual property, the stuff that makes you special. The second job, it's literally just keeping the lights on. An attack that takes you offline, that's not just a day of lost sales. It can totally wreck your whole operation. But that third pillar, that's the tricky one. It's the hardest to build and the easiest to lose. Trust. When you have strong security, you're sending a clear signal to your customers and partners that you've got their back.
Okay, so now we know why this is so critical. So what exactly are we fighting against? Let's take a look at the enemies at the gate, the digital threats that are always trying to find a way in.
Right, and these threats, they don't all come in the same flavor. You've got your direct financial fraud, you've got those huge messy data breaches, and then you have what's basically digital breaking and entering, unauthorized access. But here's the thing. We always imagine attackers coming from the outside, right? Hackers in hoodies. But look here. One of the biggest slices of this pie comes from the inside. We're talking about insider threats.
And this is a really important point. When you hear insider threat, your mind probably jumps to some disgruntled employee trying to get revenge or steal secrets. And yeah, that definitely happens. But it's way, way more common? The unintentional threat. The person who's just trying to do their job, but they use a simple password or they click on a phishing link by mistake. The crazy part is, the damage can be exactly the same. And that's what makes this so tough to deal with.
And man, when a breach actually happens, it's not just one bad thing. It's like a domino effect. The money you lose from the fraud, that's just the beginning. Then your reputation takes a massive hit because customers start to bail. Next thing you know, you're dealing with lawsuits. And all this is happening while you're scrambling to fix the technical mess and just get back online. It's a complete multi-front crisis.
Okay, so how do we prevent that absolute nightmare from happening? Well, you start by building a strong first line of defense. The best way to think about it is like you're building a fortress, a digital fortress to protect everything inside.
And the foundation of that fortress? It's all about controlling who gets in. It's not just one thing. It's all about layers. So you start with the basics, strong passwords. That's the main lock on your front door. Then you use a really important idea called least privilege. Basically, don't give people keys to rooms they have no business being in. After that, you add a serious deadbolt. That's your two-factor authentication. And finally, you need security cameras, which in our case are audit logs, to see who's been coming and going. See? Each layer makes the whole thing stronger. Some of the tech can sound really complicated, but the ideas behind them are super simple. Take a firewall. What is it really? It's just a security guard standing at your digital front door, checking the ID of everything that tries to come through. An antivirus software? That's your home alarm system. It's always on, always scanning, and ready to go crazy if it finds something that shouldn't be there. They're simple ideas, but they're absolutely essential tools.
But here's the catch. You can build the tallest walls and the strongest gates, but none of that matters if someone on the inside just opens the door for the bad guys. That's why your people, your employees, are such a critical, non-negotiable part of your defense.
So this means you have to do training. It's not optional. And I'm not talking about that boring once-a-year video that everyone clicks through. That stuff just doesn't work. Real, effective training needs to have layers. Yeah, everyone needs to know the basics. How to spot a sketchy email, why you need a good password. But it also has to be specific to their job, right? What a software developer needs to know is totally different from what someone in accounting needs to know. And the most important part? It's got to be hands-on. You need to run simulations, little tests, so that spotting a threat becomes second nature, not just something they read about once.
Okay, so you've built your fortress, you've trained your people, you're feeling good.
But listen, no defense is ever 100% perfect. So what happens when a threat does get through? When an attacker makes it over the wall? Well, that's when you need your folks up in the watchtower. This is all about detection and response.
The moment something bad happens, the absolute worst thing you can do is panic. Your best friend in a crisis is a good process. And there's a pretty standard playbook for this. It goes in 4 steps. First, you just have to detect that something is wrong. Then, and this is so important, the very next thing you do is contain it. You have to isolate the problem so it can't spread. It's like stopping the bleeding. After it's contained, then you can investigate what happened. And finally, you remediate. You fix the mess, and you use what you learned to make your defenses even stronger so it doesn't happen again.
So how do you actually spot the trouble in the first place, maybe before it blows up into a full-blown crisis? You basically have to put on your detective hat. You're looking for clues. You're digging through system logs for anything that looks weird. You're looking for changes in how people normally work. Like, hey, why is Bob from accounting suddenly logging in from another continent at 3 in the morning? You also use automated software to help you spot things like weird transactions. It's really all about finding that one little red flag in a sea of normal activity.
And all of this, it brings us to what might be the single most important idea in this entire explainer. Your tech is crucial, your processes are essential, but your ultimate defense, it's not a product, it's not something you can just buy off a shelf. It's something you have to build. It's about creating a security culture. And this quote on the screen, that absolutely nails it. Think about it. If someone on your team sees something suspicious, but they're afraid they're going to get in trouble or be blamed for it, what are they going to do? They're going to keep their mouth shut. You have to create a safe space where people feel comfortable raising their hand and saying, hey, this looks weird, and they know they'll be thanked for it, not punished.
And building that culture isn't a one-and-done project. It's something you have to work on all the time. It means security is part of the daily conversation, not just some memo you send out once a year. It's about making it totally normal, even celebrated when someone reports something suspicious. You want to weave security thinking into everything you do, so it's not just the IT department's job, it's everyone's job, from the person at the front desk all the way up to the CEO.
Okay, so if we boil all this down, what are the big takeaways for your strategy? There are really 3. Number 1, be proactive. Build your defenses before an attack shows you where you're weak. Number 2, educate your team. A smart, aware workforce is one of your best weapons. And number 3, collaborate. Talk to other people in your industry. The bad guys are always sharing tactics, so you should be too. No one can do this alone.
And that really brings us to the final point. Security isn't a destination you arrive at. You're never done. It's a process. It's constant vigilance and improvement. We've laid out the map for you here, so I'll just leave you with this one question. What's the very first thing you're going to do tomorrow to make your defenses just a little bit stronger?